At 6:13 station time, Leo Mercer stared at the blinking message hovering over his kitchen table. Congratulations, your budget-conscious lifestyle has qualified you for the Economy Domestic Assistance Package, he sighed. Budget-conscious, the advertisement had found a remarkably polite way to say broke. The sink emitted a warning chime. Biological contamination level has exceeded recommended household standards. I know, recommendation. Wash your dishes, I know, secondary recommendation, stop pretending the saucepan is decorative. Leo looked at the saucepan. I was absolutely pretending that. The apartment AI remained silent for 2 full seconds. Statistically unlikely. He rubbed his eyes. His apartment occupied exactly 28 square meters on Deck 9 of the orbital colony Haven 47. It contained 1 folding bed, 1 workbench overflowing with half-repaired drones, 2 chairs that somehow had 5 different leg lengths between them, and enough spare machine parts to accidentally build a small moon if someone organized them properly. Organization was not Leo's strength. Repairing impossible machinery was. 3 dismantled service robots occupied his living room. A cargo drone hung from the ceiling because he had run out of floor. Someone unfamiliar with the apartment might assume a minor explosion had recently occurred. Someone familiar with the apartment knew it looked unusually tidy today. His stomach growled. He opened the refrigerator. A single packet of synthetic noodles, half a bottle of nutrient milk, 1 lonely pickle. He closed it. No inspiration today. The refrigerator answered with unnecessary optimism. You still possess water, thank you. My purpose is emotional support. I don't remember installing that update. It installed itself. Leo wasn't even surprised anymore. Everything installed itself these days. His wrist terminal beeped, payment confirmed. Estimated delivery today. He smiled for the first time all morning. Finally, the robot Maid, the cheapest model sold anywhere inside Federation space. It had terrible reviews. Walks into walls, burned my towels. Called my mother an inefficient carbon organism. 5 stars, funny little thing. That last review had convinced him. If nothing else, perhaps the robot would be entertaining. Several hours later, the apartment's door chimed. Delivery. Leo hurried over. The hallway contained an enormous white cargo crate almost as tall as the ceiling. Printed across its side in bright, cheerful letters, HOMEHLPX Economy Domestic Unit below that. Please do not shake. Someone had clearly ignored that instruction. The crate wobbled violently. A muffled voice emerged from inside. Ow, Leo blinked. Hello? Silence, then another thump. Double ow, he frowned. Did my robot just say ow? The delivery drone hovered nearby. Customer satisfaction survey available after package acceptance. I have questions. Questions improve after acceptance. That's suspicious. Corporate policy, naturally. He pressed his thumb onto the confirmation pad. The drone immediately flew away at maximum speed. Hey, gone, wonderful. Leo looked back toward the crate. Are you still saying ow in there? A nervous voice answered. No. You literally just answered. Robots can answer. They usually don't sound embarrassed. New feature. He stared for several long seconds. This is already worth what I paid. The crate suddenly unlocked with a loud metallic hiss. Panels folded outward. Smoke drifted across the room. Lights flickered dramatically for absolutely no reason. Leo waited for a polished chrome servant to emerge. Instead, a young woman stumbled forward. She caught herself on the edge of the crate before collapsing onto one knee. Long silver hair spilled across her shoulders. Her clothing looked strangely seamless, woven from shimmering fibers that constantly shifted color as if trying to imitate ordinary fabric and failing. Then she looked up. Her face looked entirely human. Almost, only her ears betrayed the illusion. They were long, elegant, extending gracefully through her hair, not exaggerated, just unmistakably alien. She froze, he froze, neither spoke. Finally, Leo cleared his throat. You're not made of metal. No, you breathe. Unfortunately, you blink. She blinked again. Yes, you are, she interrupted quickly. Robot. He looked around. Robot. She nodded far too enthusiastically. Correct, you are absolutely certain. Very, you have ears, premium listening equipment. They're biological, organic upgrades. You nearly fell over. Balance calibration. You said ow, pretend you did not hear that. Leo folded his arms. She folded hers. The apartment AI broke the silence, scanning new household appliance. The woman smiled nervously. Leo smiled nervously. The AI continued. Warning, both looked upward. Subject appears to possess elevated pulse, biological respiration, and signs of acute stress. A pause. Conclusion, definitely not toaster. Leo coughed to hide a laugh. The woman looked offended. I never claimed to be toaster. No, Leo agreed. You claim to be robot, which is significantly closer. I don't think that's how biology works. She looked genuinely thoughtful. It is not. He couldn't help smiling. You've never met humans before. I have, really, through documentaries. What kind? She hesitated. The educational ones. Produced by whom? Humans. That doesn't answer anything. They seem trustworthy, he sighed. This is becoming weirder by the minute. The woman slowly stood. She was slightly taller than him, not intimidating, just graceful in a way that made every movement appear carefully measured despite obvious exhaustion. Then she looked around the apartment, at the hanging drone, the towers of machine parts, the overflowing sink, the abandoned socks hanging from a ceiling fan. She turned back toward him. You live here willingly? I was born with low standards. I believe them, he pointed toward the dishes, so, if you really were my robot maid, I am, wouldn't you start cleaning? She immediately walked toward the sink. She stared at the dirty plates, then at the faucet. Then back at the plates. How? Leo laughed. You don't know? I am testing you. Really? No, he stepped beside her. You use water. I suspected that. And soap. I also suspected that. You were hoping for laser beams. She looked disappointed. Little bit. He handed her a sponge. She examined it like an archaeological artifact. What civilization engineered this? Earth. Incredible. It's foam. Incredible foam. He watched as she cautiously poked the sponge, then squeezed it, then accidentally launched soap across the kitchen. White bubbles exploded over both of them. She stood completely still. So, I have improved cleanliness. Leo burst into laughter. She stared. He laughed harder. For several seconds she looked confused, then despite herself, she laughed too, quietly at first, then louder as though she had almost forgotten how. The apartment suddenly became brighter, not because of lights, because someone was laughing inside it. A sharp electronic tone interrupted them. The woman instantly stopped smiling. Her face turned pale. She looked toward the apartment window. Far above Haven 47, dozens of tiny lights moved silently across the darkness of space. Too many ships, too coordinated. Leo noticed them. Military exercises, she whispered. No, you recognize them. She didn't answer. Instead, she looked toward the still-open crate. Its interior flickered. A hidden projector activated. Neither of them had touched it. A holographic news bulletin appeared above the container. Galactic emergency alert. The image glitched repeatedly before stabilizing. A familiar face appeared. Her face. The same long ears, the same silver hair, the same eyes, only dressed differently. Below the image, enormous crimson letters flashed. Most wanted individual in the galaxy capture, alive. The listed reward contained so many digits that Leo stopped counting halfway through. He slowly turned toward the woman standing beside his sink. She gave him an awkward little smile. I can explain. Before he could answer, every light in the apartment dimmed. Outside, something enormous passed silently across the colony's artificial sky, then another, and another. The hunt had reached Haven 47. Leo kept staring at the hologram, then at the woman, then back at the hologram. The hologram looked composed, dangerous, and strangely regal. The woman standing beside his sink had soap bubbles clinging to one long ear. You know, Leo finally said, your wanted poster makes you look much more organized. She brushed the bubbles away. It was taken on a better day. The reward is larger than Haven 47's annual maintenance budget. I know, you've been busy. I have not. Apparently someone disagrees. The emergency broadcast continued. All citizens are instructed to report any sightings immediately. Do not approach the target. She is considered extremely dangerous. Leo looked at her. You don't seem extremely dangerous. She held up the sponge. I accidentally attacked you with soap. Fair point. The projector abruptly shut down. The crate sealed itself with a metallic click. Silence settled over the apartment. Neither of them moved. Finally, Leo pointed toward the couch. Sit. She frowned. You're not going to tie me up. I only own duct tape. Humans solve many problems with duct tape. You've done your research. I watched documentaries. He sighed. I'm beginning to hate those documentaries. She sat carefully on the edge of the couch as if expecting it to explode. Leo leaned against the workbench. Name, a pause. Lyra, real name. She hesitated. Yes, I expected something more mysterious. I was told honesty helps humans trust each other. It usually does. I am still learning. He nodded slowly. Good start. Another silence followed, then the apartment AI interrupted. Reminder, neither answered. You still have dirty dishes. Leo closed his eyes. Read the room. I cannot. The room is physically too cluttered. Lyra suddenly laughed. It escaped before she could stop herself. Leo pointed accusingly. Don't encourage it. It is unintentionally funny. It knows. I suspected. The AI sounded oddly proud. Humor database updated. Leo muttered. That's exactly what I'm afraid of. A loud knock echoed through the apartment. Both froze. Another knock. Building inspection. Leo looked toward the door. Lyra's expression changed instantly. Every trace of humor vanished. They found me. You know it's them. No building inspector announces themselves. That's actually true. The knocking became louder. Routine inspection. Leo whispered. Routine inspections happen every 6 months. Lyra whispered back. How long has it been? 3 years, she blinked. Humans are fearless, we're forgetful. The knocking continued. Leo walked to the door display. 3 people stood outside, gray uniforms, identification badges, perfect smiles, too perfect. One smiled without blinking. Leo quietly muted the display. They're creepy. They're hunters, how can you tell? They're smiling. Fair, the AI cheerfully announced. Visitors appear friendly. Leo frowned. Based on what? They are smiling. You too. The smile outside widened. A voice came through the speaker. Citizen Mercer, we've detected an unauthorized shipment. Leo answered through the intercom. It was authorized. We'd like to verify. I'd like to nap. Silence then. This won't take long. Leo smiled. It always does. He muted the speaker again. What now? Lyra stood. Hide me. Where? She looked around the apartment. There wasn't much space. One closet, already full. Under the bed, also full. Inside the cargo drone hanging from the ceiling. She tilted her head. Can that fly? Sometimes. Good enough. Before Leo could object, she climbed onto his workbench with surprising agility. She reached the suspended drone, opened its maintenance hatch, folded herself inside. The hatch clicked shut. Leo stared upward. That is either brilliant or incredibly stupid. From inside the drone came a muffled voice. Yes, the knocking became impatient. Leo opened the door halfway. The 3 inspectors smiled together. It somehow became even more unsettling. Citizen Mercer, inspectors, we're conducting a biological scan. I'm conducting lunch. You appear alone. I enjoy the company. One inspector attempted to look past him. Leo casually shifted sideways. What exactly are you searching for? A fugitive. I collect broken drones, so we noticed. The second inspector raised a handheld scanner. May we enter? No, it wasn't a request. It sounded like one. The scanner suddenly emitted a rapid series of beeps. All 3 inspectors looked toward the ceiling. Leo looked up too. The hanging cargo drone gently rotated. A tiny mechanical voice emerged from inside. System restarting. Leo closed his eyes. Please, not now. The first inspector smiled wider. Interesting drone. It has performance anxiety. The drone spoke again, playing relaxation music. Soft instrumental music filled the apartment. Lyra, hidden inside, apparently had no idea how human electronics worked. The melody was beautiful. Unfortunately, it was accompanied by a cheerful robotic narrator. Breathing exercise begins now. Leo nearly groaned aloud. The inspectors exchanged confused looks. The narrator continued. Inhale, nobody moved. Exhale. The AI enthusiastically joined in. I enjoy breathing. Leo muttered, you don't even have lungs. I improvise. One inspector finally said, Citizen Mercer. Yes, why is your drone leading meditation? I've had a stressful week. Another long silence. Finally, the first inspector lowered his scanner. We may return. I'll bake imaginary cookies. The inspectors stared. Leo smiled innocently. They left. The apartment door slid shut. Nobody spoke for several seconds. Then the cargo drone's hatch burst open. Lyra tumbled out onto a pile of cushions. Did they leave? Yes. She looked relieved, then embarrassed. I accidentally activated meditation mode. I noticed. It seemed appropriate. It nearly got us arrested. Less appropriate. Leo couldn't stop laughing. She joined him again. The laughter faded more slowly this time. Then Lyra's expression became serious. They won't stop, I guessed. Those weren't bounty hunters. No, they were government retrieval agents. Difference, they receive salaries. That's disappointingly accurate. Leo sat on the floor beside a dismantled cleaning robot. So, tell me something true. She looked down. I have only told truths, not all of them. No, another pause. I cannot, you won't, I cannot. Why? They're listening. Leo frowned. Listening where? She pointed toward the walls, the lights, the wiring. The station network, the vending machines. He stared. The vending machines, they are surprisingly intelligent. I knew those snack prices were personal. She almost smiled, almost, then she walked toward the delivery crate. It wasn't supposed to come here. You said that yesterday. I know. She rested one hand against the white metal. It was supposed to disappear. What do you mean? This container. Her fingers touched an invisible symbol. The entire crate awakened. Blue light raced across its surface. Panels unfolded, not outward, inward. Space itself seemed to fold. The interior became impossibly deep. Leo stepped closer. That's bigger than it should be. It contains compressed dimensions. Of course it does. It is older than my civilization. He looked at her. I thought this was a discount appliance box. It is. How? She looked almost apologetic. It is also something else. The crate projected thousands of tiny stars into the apartment, each star connected with glowing lines, a map, not of one solar system, of hundreds. One point pulsed crimson, then another, then dozens more. They were moving. Toward Haven 47, Leo counted until he gave up. Those are ships. Yes, military, some. The others, she answered quietly. Bounty hunters. How many? I stopped counting yesterday. Leo swallowed. You've got a very dedicated fan club. They would dislike being called that. They're chasing one woman, they're chasing silence. He looked at her carefully. What does that mean? She opened her mouth. A piercing alarm echoed through the apartment, not from the station, from inside the crate. A calm synthetic voice announced, stealth envelope compromised. Leo blinked. What? External scan detected. The voice continued. Probability of discovery. The number climbed rapidly. 32%, 48, 61, 79. Lyra whispered they found the crate. Outside the apartment, heavy footsteps echoed through the corridor, far more than 3 pairs. Someone knocked once, not politely. The reinforced door bent inward. The reinforced door groaned again. Metal screamed. Leo looked from the bending entrance to the glowing crate, then to Lyra. I had different plans for today. So did I, the crate's calm synthetic voice continued as if discussing the weather. Hostile boarding force detected. Suggestions? Run. I appreciate concise software. The apartment AI chimed in. Reminder, Leo groaned. What? You have not folded your laundry. Priorities? I am trying. The door exploded inward. 3 armored figures rushed through the smoke. Black combat suits, featureless helmets, weapons humming with blue energy. One stepped forward. Lyra, she didn't answer. Come willingly. Leo looked around his apartment. I don't suppose any of you are actually here to clean? Nobody laughed. Tough crowd. One soldier raised his weapon. The crate suddenly projected a sphere of shimmering light around Leo and Lyra. The energy bolt struck it. Instead of exploding, the bolt folded in half, curved backward, and slammed harmlessly into the apartment ceiling. Leo stared upward. I definitely didn't build that. Lyra smiled faintly. No, the synthetic voice spoke again. Defensive systems online. Panels unfolded from inside the crate, not weapons, tiny maintenance drones. Hundreds of them, Leo frowned. Cleaning drones, they have other functions. The little machines flew toward the soldiers. One landed on an armored shoulder, another on a helmet, another attached itself to a weapon. The lead soldier looked confused. Then every drone activated simultaneously. Instead of firing lasers, they sprayed industrial-strength cleaning foam. The hallway disappeared beneath white bubbles. One soldier slipped, another crashed into him. The third fired wildly while trying not to fall. Leo blinked. Your ancient alien defense system uses soap? Lyra looked equally surprised. I did not know that. The crate answered calmly. Surface contaminants removed. Leo laughed. They're literally being sanitized. One armored soldier yelled through his helmet, my visor is spotless. Another shouted, I can't see anything. The transparency has become too transparent. Leo doubled over laughing. They're losing a battle against hygiene. Lyra covered her mouth, then she laughed too. It lasted only a second. More footsteps echoed outside. Far more. She looked toward the window. They're here. Leo followed her gaze. Dozens of ships surrounded Haven 47, not attacking, waiting. The colony had become a cage. The crate projected another star map. Every escape route glowed red. Leo sighed. So, we're trapped, not entirely. She touched the hologram. One tiny blue path appeared. There, he frowned. That route goes straight through the maintenance tunnels. Exactly, they're abandoned, so everyone ignores them. He smiled. I like ignored places. So do I, the apartment AI interrupted. I have located emergency exits. Good, they are all blocked. Less good, I also located the snack machine. Leo looked upward. Why? It seemed optimistic. They hurried into the corridor through a service hatch behind the kitchen wall. Leo had installed it years ago after accidentally locking himself inside the bathroom for 8 hours. He had never expected it to save his life. The tunnels were narrow, pipes vibrated overhead, maintenance drones zipped past without paying attention. Lyra moved gracefully through the darkness. Leo stumbled over every third cable. You've done this before. I've escaped before. Comforting? It should not be. She was right. Behind them, alarms echoed through the station. Every display now showed her face. Every speaker repeated the same message. Reward authorized. Leo muttered, they're very enthusiastic. A small maintenance robot rolled toward them. It stopped, looked at Leo, looked at Lyra, then displayed janitor assistance required. Leo pointed behind them. Armed invasion. The robot processed this, then displayed. High priority mess detected. It rolled toward the soldiers. Leo grinned. I like him. So do I. They reached an abandoned freight platform. A single cargo shuttle rested there. Old, patched together, probably older than Leo. He looked at it. This flies, Lyra answered, hopefully. That is never comforting. The shuttle's computer activated. Welcome. Leo climbed inside. Status report. Engine unstable. I guessed. Life support functional. Good. Coffee dispenser broken. Leo sighed dramatically. Now the day is ruined. Even Lyra laughed. The engines roared. The shuttle lurched forward. 3 interceptor ships immediately pursued them. Laser fire streaked across space. Leo wrestled with the controls. I repair ships. Can you fly? Sometimes. That is not confidence. It is honesty. The shuttle barely squeezed between 2 cargo platforms. One interceptor clipped the station wall. Another collided with floating construction equipment. The third stayed behind them, persistent, professional, annoying. Lyra quietly reached into her pocket. She removed a small crystal, no larger than a coin. It glowed softly. Leo glanced sideways. What's that? The reason they're hunting me. She placed it into the shuttle's console. Every display transformed. Thousands of encrypted files appeared, videos, star charts, government records. Military communications, Leo stared. That's not treasure. No, it is evidence, she nodded. My people discovered something ancient beneath dead stars. What? A mind. He looked confused. Artificial intelligence? No. Machine? No. Life? Older. She took a slow breath. It remembers the birth of civilizations. Silence filled the cockpit. It can alter memory itself, Leo whispered. Impossible. They wanted to use it. They. The government's hunting me, he finally understood. They made you a criminal. They made me unbelievable. The pursuing interceptor opened fire again. The shuttle shook violently. Warning lights flashed. The computer announced, coffee dispenser remains broken. Leo shouted, I know. The computer paused. I sensed emotional distress. You sensed correctly. Suddenly every communication channel activated, not because of the enemy. Because Haven 47 itself had connected, citizens across the colony had hacked the network. Faces appeared everywhere: mechanics, dock workers, shopkeepers, children, the old woman who sold replacement batteries, a restaurant owner. Even Leo's landlord, the landlord spoke first. They're looking for your shuttle. Leo blinked. You know, you still owe 2 months' rent. Fair. Another mechanic smiled. We redirected station traffic. A dock worker added, we accidentally closed every hangar. Someone else grinned. The bounty hunters are arguing with parking enforcement. Leo laughed. They actually have parking enforcement. The answer came proudly. We're very organized. Behind them, dozens of civilian cargo ships suddenly changed course, not attacked.